What up, though, people? Welcome to Bleav in Pistons, a Detroit Pistons podcast brought to you by the Bleav Network. I'm your host, Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, and I am an NBA credentialed beat writer from Woodward Sports. I do cover the Detroit Pistons this year, and it's been a pretty awesome time. I'm going to share a lot of those experiences with you as these episodes get going. But this first episode on a Thursday, December 15th, this is the all beef episode. Do you believe in beef? Huh? I'm calling out the Killian Hayes haters. I got to call y'all out, man. And I hope you guys come. I really do. I really do. Also, we got to talk about Bennedict Mathurin versus Jaden Ivey. It's too much talk that I'm hearing, and I'm a little bit disappointed, especially from some of the Detroit Pistons fans that I hear in these debates actually siding with Bennedict Mathurin. But we're going to get into it. Listen, the last game that the Detroit Pistons played before this recording was against the Charlotte Hornets, where they won 141-134. Defense need not apply. No. These guys were out to score all night. And I was wondering if the Detroit Pistons actually had enough to keep up. They were already shorthanded without Cade Cunningham. LaMelo Ball was returning for the Charlotte Hornets, and the Pistons lost Marvin Bagley to right knee soreness in this game. So they were facing an uphill battle, but they were tough, man. Tough. Obviously, the vet Bojan, he did his thing, man, with 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But the story tonight, it was Killian Hayes. We can talk about what Isaiah Stewart did, and he played well. Jalen Duren, he did really, really well. Kevin Knox, Alec Burks. Listen, guys did they handled their own, career high 19 rebounds for Jalen Duren against the Hornets. But it was about Killian Hayes and his career high 5 3-pointers, 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. Guys, come on. We're the hater. I don't hear y'all. Hey, and you know what else? Let me see here. Something else. Down the stretch of that game, not one, but 2 big 3-pointers. Y'all want to see the shot? Y'all see the y'all already know it's butter, boy. It's butter. Listen, Killian Hayes has played so much more confidently. I don't mean just hey, I'm taking a baby step forward or a nice step forward. This guy looks like a completely different player than he did to start the season. And I want to get into it here, okay? Let me bring up his stats to out of his first 10 games of the season. And I can understand why a lot of people were upset with his start and ready to just get him out of town. But people, I'm telling you, listen, the receipts are out there, man. Some of the articles that I wrote, let me see here. Yeah, now look, some of the articles that I wrote, some of the shows that I've been on, the Morning Woodward Show, Woodward Pistons Podcast, among some other things, Table Talk, From Half Court. There's a lot of different networks I've been able to have the privilege to be on and really state my piece before Killian got on this run. And I continue to state, listen, guys, I don't believe this is a skill set thing with him. I don't think this is an issue of Killian Hayes needing to learn how to play basketball. I believe that this was just an adjustment mentally that had to take place. Was it fair to criticize him game by game? Sure. Was it fair to be disappointed in his performance or lack thereof? Sure. But to say that the kid need to be shipped out of town before we actually got to see him do again what he did in preseason, as well as a large chunk of the season to end it last year, that's a little bit too premature, especially if we're going off the first 10 games of the season. Listen, the Pistons right now are only 28 games in. A lot of people are basing their claims off of these 10 games. So we're going to compare his first 10 with his last 10, just so you guys can get a full measure of what Killian Hayes is doing. Now, some factors that contributed to this slow start. 3-point, what do you have here? 3.1 assists per game. They put that first as it's his highest, average. Usually points are going to be higher, so they usually put that first, but 2.7 points and 2.1 rebounds in 10 games, yo. It was bleak. He was shooting 18.2% from the field, 16.7% from 3, man. Bleak. And I'm not even gonna hold nobody. Listen, even somebody who I believed in Killian from the time that the Pistons drafted him, I was disappointed. I was getting a little bit discouraged, but I continue to say, you know what? We've seen this out of him. He kind of goes through these slumps, through these dives and everything. And when you look at these factors, his role changed, his shot attempts dropped, and his type of shots changed from preseason to the regular season, then you can start to understand, well, maybe they need to put Killian Hayes in a little bit better position to score. And they wound up doing that. When they put him on the bench, it didn't really mesh with him. It looked like he went from a guy who was just kind of out there loosely playing with the ball, man. Killian was out there just kind of blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got you. Finger rolling. Oh, threes. Doing his thing in preseason. Doing his thing at the Rico Hines runs. We saw him in the gym all summer. We saw him bulk up too. So we know he was putting in the work. We know that. But when he got moved to the bench, his style of play went to more like that first year, like run the offense rather than go out there and just be a hooper. I Bleav that Killian Hayes is a hooper more so than just go out there and just kind of be a game manager. He's not one of those types of guys. You put him in a position, a game manager, you got to think too much. And you see it on his face. You see, oh, well, do I go to the left? Oh, yeah, left. Oh, pick, pass to the guy. When he's just out there just doing his thing, just kind of doing his little, French do-si-do and all of that, that's the Killian Hayes that gets you what we've seen out of the last 10 games. And let me go ahead and pull that up here. Because with what you've seen in the last 10 games out of Killian, that's primarily coincided with the fact that Cade Cunningham. And listen, dog, he is a star. Get healthy soon, big dog. Number 2, get healthy soon. I know the surgery is on the way if you already haven't had it. And he's going to miss the season. They want to do it now so he can get a full off season to work. So he can get a full off season to get better and come back next season just ready to hit the ground running. So we're going to have, star power back next year. That's what, Cade Cunningham, straight up. But there is a blessing in disguise here. When he went out, Killian Hayes finally got those same opportunities and shot attempts that he got in the preseason. He got those attempts again. Now, some people will say, well, then what happens when Cade Cunningham comes back? Well, the hope is that Killian now understands you can play ball, bro. You can play ball. Let's pull up those 10 games, these last 10 games. Because Killian Hayes has been on an absolute tear. And it's nothing world beating. I don't want to sit here and act like the man is going out there and averaging like 25, 10, and 10 or anything like that. But I do Bleav that it's important for Killian Hayes to be able to go out there and have games like this. And there's one important thing that I want to point out here in this 10 games here. Okay, look. It shows 13.7 points per game, 7.7 assists per game, 3.6 rebounds over his last 10, okay? You also see here the three-point percentage is way up, 38.3%, and you see the field goal percentage at 45.2%. Killian Hayes is just a man out there doing his job. The assist to turnover ratio is looking beautiful, too. He's almost at a 4-to-1 ratio. If you can get those assists up just a little bit more, drop those turnovers just a smidge. Now, what I've liked here, and you'll see in his 10, he has a string of nice games. There was a 6-game stretch here where he was over double figures and he was putting up really nice assist numbers every game. My wonder and my hope was, my fear was, my concern, whatever you want to call it, was just this. When he hits a bad game, how is he going to respond? And he hit a bad game. You see here against Miami, it wasn't the best of games for him. Didn't shoot too well. Didn't really, that was a game where people were wondering, why did he come out the game? Why didn't Dwayne Casey kind of keep him in there and whatnot? Then he came right back and had a really good game. 17, 12, and 6 against New Orleans, right? Then he came back and had 2 clunkers. And I was like, dang, man, let's see what he's going to do here. Let's see. And he came out and he absolutely went to town. Now, you guys got to understand something. LaMelo Ball was out there last night, man, getting it in. He was. He was part of the reason why, the Hornets had a really good shot at winning that game last night. Just to put it in perspective, LaMelo Ball last night, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 5 threes for him as well. Now, that's the guy that when draft time was here, a lot of people were like, yo, we hope LaMelo Ball comes here. We hope he falls to the Detroit Pistons. We didn't know exactly where these guys were going to go. Killian Hayes was somebody that was high up on that list as well. But you got to understand, like, bro, LaMelo Ball got ties to Michigan. He was hanging out in Somerset all summer. He was, in Detroit gyms and all that type of stuff, working out. He had even come out and say, yo, I wouldn't mind being drafted by Detroit. LeVar Ball was out there talking about it a little bit too. I Bleav it's LaMelo's mom who got some ties or some connections to here, as well as the agent or the trainer that LaMelo was working with was from here as well. And so it was a situation where, these 2 guys, they were 2 of the top guards drafted, man. So it was cool to see Killian Hayes take that personal last night and say, no, I'm ending this. Against Charlotte, I wanted to see him take the last shot in regulation. Coach Casey went to Bojan Bogdanovic, which I know a lot of fans were just like, I get it. I get it, y'all. I get it. I get it. No one's gonna be perfect. I Bleav that Casey has his flaws, but I Bleav largely for this rebuild, for this restoration, for this period in time, for this squad, what you see out of Killian Hayes, I do Bleav that Casey has a lot to do with that as well. Being able to unlock this guy's mental and everything, being able to put him in the right positions to succeed, being able to make sure you have this patient approach with him, and that you're able to teach. You're able to educate. You're able to sit down and go through film. You're able to put him in position to, both play and sit on the bench and watch someone like a Corey Joseph go out there who's a vet and can run the plays, at least can put you in a position to show you how it's supposed to look. So yeah, I Killian Hayes, he's somebody that, look, I Bleav from here you're going to see a guy who's going to be threatening for most improved player of the year. He's going to be a guy who is going to continue to put up stats this season because the team is going to need him to, and he has the space to do so. The next step in his evolution in his development is going to be, can you continue to play this way when you go to the bench? Can you continue to be that guy when you ultimately have to play with Cade Cunningham? When you ultimately have to go back to sharing, the floor and space and the rock with guys like Sadiq Bey, Alec Burks, and things of that nature. I Bleav he can. And what I love is the fact that his probing style of offense, that when he's looking to score rather than looking to just make a pass, he winds up with, I think, more consistent assist numbers than not. Look at it. As his shot attempts kind of go up, his assist totals have been consistently 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 every single game. So look, I'm calling y'all out. If there's something that I'm getting wrong here with Killian Hayes, haters, let me hear it. Let me hear it. If we're being kind of too overzealous right now, the Killian supporters, the people who have believed in his game, I want to hear it. I really do. Let me know what I'm missing here. But I Bleav that this Killian Hayes is here to stay. I would like to see him get that points per game average up even a little bit more. But with the impact that he makes on the assist, I'm not upset with it. How can you be 13.3 points per game? I'm not upset with it at all. Listen, beef number 2 that we got to get into. All right. Jaden Ivey versus Bennedict Mathurin. And I got my notes ready for this one, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I had to have it ready. Okay. We all knew coming out of college that Bennedict Mathurin could shoot the three, had a little bit more, pizzazz to his offensive game coming out of college. That's just what he was. Everybody knew that. That's not why we wanted Ivey. That's not why Piston fans wanted Ivey. That's not what they were looking at when they wanted Ivey. This was always about the higher ceiling that Jaden Ivey possesses, the overall impact that he has on a game. And we're gonna get to something at the end of this. That is, it's just I'm a little bit disappointed in Detroit Pistons fans, but we're gonna talk about it. Okay. Mathurin, he is a more polished scorer, volume shooter. He still shoots, whether he's off or on. It's his role. And when you look at the stats, it really, really, really tells that story. It's his role. To me, like I've already stated, Jaden Ivey is the better overall player, who, even if he's off, he's still making impact plays. He's making plays for others and in various other ways defensively as well. All right, listen, I'm not going to pull up all the stats here for right now, but I did find something very, very interesting as it related to this Jaden Ivey, Bennedict Mathurin, debate. When I was looking at their advanced stats and their advanced metrics and everything, you start to see a little bit different picture than just, Bennedict Mathurin can score. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. He's sitting at like 17.8 points per game. But let's break this down a little bit, okay? When you look at their triage of stats, Mathurin is ahead by about 2.6 points per game over Jaden Ivey. For somebody that's supposed to be that much more of a polished scorer, and I'm not hating on Bennedict Mathurin because he was my number 2. If we couldn't get Jaden Ivey, I was hoping that the Pistons would be able to select Bennedict Mathurin because he's just an absolute gunner. I thought that would be something great off the bench, exactly the way that Indiana is using him right now. But I Bleav that Jaden Ivey possessed his all-around talent, the skill set, similar to Dwayne Wade, who could go out there and get you a good 15, 7, and 5. And that's what we see out of, his rookie year. And that's what we see out of Jaden Ivey already. So though Mathurin is up 2.6 points per game over Jaden Ivey, who's at 15.2, Mathurin is at 17.8. Ivey is a little bit shorter than Mathurin, but he actually grabs 0.3 more rebounds, 4.4, 4.5 rebounds per game to about 4 to 4.1 rebounds per game for Bennedict Mathurin. Now, the assists per game is where you start to really, really draw a line in the sand between what is it that you actually value. Ivey is a plus 2.4. That man's assist game is up there. It's up there, guys. Ivey is at 4 assists per game, whereas Mathurin is at 1.6 assists per game. So look, I hear the scoring. I hear that, and I know he got off to a nice hot start, and everybody wanted to coronate him over Ivey, just the same way people wanted to, off the first 10 games of the season, send Killian to the moon, bro, punt him to the moon, and to never to return. They treated that man like Scar, like, yo, run away and never come back. It's just like, bro, nah, that's not how it's going to go down, because the last 10 games between Jaden Ivey and Bennedict Mathurin, we're going to get into it, guys. We really are. But what I wanted to do here is this, and I hope I don't lose you guys here, okay? We're going to get into a little bit of math, but it matters. Don't y'all just be lazy about, oh, he scores. Oh, he got better dribble moves. Come on, guys. Do you realize that Jaden Ivey, we're going to get into these advanced stats, the assist rate, Jaden Ivey's assist rate is 20%. Can you guess what Bennedict Mathurin's is? So that means while Jaden Ivey's on the floor, man, he's assisting on 20% of the baskets that are going in, as well as scoring some of those, some other baskets. Think about that, guys. What an impact. Mathurin's assist rate, 8.4%. When I really started getting into these numbers, I was like, okay, yeah, he's definitely going to be one of those elite scoring type guards. But what else is he going to be doing? And I don't know, I don't know if he's actually been ever asked to play make. That's something, my co-host from the Woodward Pistons platform, Jeff Iafredi, he always, when assessing players, he asks, what are they asked to do? That's the main thing. Jaden Ivey, he wasn't asked to do certain things that he's doing now with the Pistons, and it's showing proficient. So maybe Bennedict Mathurin is asked to just be that gunner. But as it relates to the assists, you see a huge difference there, man. 20% assist rate to 8.2% for Mathurin versus Ivey. And another thing with Mathurin scoring, it's actually been helped by a higher usage rate and a more favorable whistle that Jaden Ivey just hasn't gotten. Mathurin's free throw rate is at a pretty good, really good, 42.3%. Man, that's stuff that stars get. Ivey's sitting at 32.8%. I Bleav that needs to be up a little bit more, but that would have made a difference. If that free throw rate was up to the 42%, then Jaden Ivey's averaging 17.8, 18 points per game as well, just like Bennedict Mathurin. And the other thing here, the usage rate, Ivey's rate, it's pretty high for a rookie at 24.6. Mathurin is at 25.5. So he gets a few more opportunities at scoring the basket. And these things are important when you want to talk about breaking down a player and if the Pistons made the wrong choice or not, okay? You could put yourself at ease. Troy Weaver knows what he's doing, okay? This is the telltale here. 15.2 points per game for Ivey to 17.8 points per game for Mathurin. But when you look at points responsible for, which is taking into effect the minimum amount of points that can be had off of what the player's assists are, that tells a different story. Jaden Ivey's at 23.2 points responsible for per game compared to 21 points responsible for Bennedict Mathurin. That's when you add the 3.2 points per game possible from 1.6 assists per game from Bennedict Mathurin to his 17.8 points per game. That's where you get the 21. For Jaden Ivey, he averages 4 assists a game. Some of those could be threes. So it could be more than a possible 8 points. 2-point shots, times 4 assists is going to get you 8. But what if 1 or 2 of those are threes to Bogey or Killian or whatnot? So we're just going with the minimum baseline here. When you add that 8 points to his 15.2, that's 23.2 points per game. And when you look at the college stats, you see a big jump for Jaden Ivey as well. In the assist department, he went from like one and some change to like 3.5. He was asked to play make a little bit more, and it showed up in the stats. Bennedict Mathurin in college, he only had marginal gains, very, very, very marginal gains to assists. And so that does worry me a little bit when you're talking about a guy who, if your shot's not falling, what else are you doing for me? Jaden Ivey has gone out there sometimes and, 10 points, but you see, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, a block, 2 steals. Those are the things that I like. Now, did you guys ever stop to ask yourself who plays a better defense between Jaden Ivey and Bennedict Mathurin? I hope you took that time just then to ask yourselves who plays the better defense between Jaden Ivey and Bennedict Mathurin. Okay, people? Listen, Shame on you. Any Detroit Pistons fan out there. Listen, all you people outside of Detroit, outside of the state of Michigan, maybe you might not know how we get down here. But any Pistons fan who got enamored with the prettiness of box score stats, box score points per games, instead of what every single Pistons winner has always been known and identified by, defense. Come on, guys, defense. Do you understand that when you look at the advanced stats, Ivey leads Mathurin in defensive rebound rate, total rebound rate, steals, and blocks? I don't know what to do with my hands right now. Guys, all right, let me say that again. Okay. Just so you know, Ivey leads in defensive rebound rate, total rebound rate, steals, and blocks. And it's not even really close in these stats, guys. Now, I get Mathurin is 6'6". I thought he would make a little bit better impact on that end of the court. And we were talking about this on the What We're Pistons podcast during the summer. Jeff Firefrady and Detroit News, Rod Beard, about what are these guys asked to do. And we didn't know what Jaden Ivey was really going to be able to do, but we thought that his athleticism, his speed, and his pedigree, shout out to Aniyo Ivey, his mom, his coach at Notre Dame, she played, shout out for the Detroit Shock, Indiana Fever, and the WNBA and everything. His family, his connections to Detroit and everything, all of the athleticism that runs in it professionally. Jaden Ivey's stock, I just believed all of that, along with what he showed in college, his overall impact on the game and his ability to be able to be one of those guys that can eventually be, a 25-5 nightly type of guy. That's what drew me to him. That ceiling, it's so high. Do I believe Bennedict Mathurin is going to be one of those guys one day that can go out there and pop off for like 30, like a tall Jamal Crawford? Yes, I really do. But for what this team needs, for what the Detroit Pistons need moving forward, it is a player similar to the type of Jaden Ivey. Now that you got your Cade Cunningham, now that you got your Jaden Ivey, now that you have your Jalen Duren, do they need an absolute gunner? Do they need a two? Yes, they do. They do. They need a shooting guard so bad that can just go out there and fill it up. And you know who's absolutely made that kind of known? It kind of exposed that is Alec Burks. He comes off the bench and he just goes to work. Between what he can do and then what Bojan and Killian were doing with the starters, Alec Burks was effectively keeping the bench in the game. And Kevin Knox, I can't leave him out. These guys are coming in and they're just absolute gunners. So look, guys, I think that's a wrap. This is the Bleav in Beef, the first episode of Bleav in Pistons. Like I said, I'm calling out all the Killian Hayes haters. If I've missed something, let me know. I'm calling out all those who just went Bennedict Mathurin, just because my man is scoring a little bit. Look, you know what? And one more thing before we go. I want to be able to show you guys their last 10 games. Bennedict Mathurin started off shooting really, really well. And when you just kind of box score watch and you just like, oh, cool. He's shooting like 35%. And Jaden Ivey only shooting like 30%. You know what you wind up missing? You wind up missing the context, guys. Look, Bennedict Mathurin, he's showing he can score, but his scoring in the last 10 is down over compared to his season average of 17.8. Right now, of his last 10, it's at 15.9 points per game. He's still, his assists have even dropped from the 1.6 down to 1.4. And if you look at the shooting numbers here, it's very, very telling, man. 3-point percentage wise, that man is down to 22%. And his field goal is down to like 38%. So that's why I'm saying, look, don't overreact, don't underreact, don't come out here bash, don't come out here just to act as if, because Jaden Ivey may have a bad stretch, or even because Bennedict Mathurin may have a bad stretch. These guys are bad players. They're not bad players, not by the least bit. And just so you can see what Jaden Ivey is doing over these last 10 as well, it's been pretty much an up and down season for him. He started hot and then kind of slowed down a little bit over the season, and then he kind of stabilized. What I've liked about Jaden Ivey is, regardless of the scoring output, he's still finding ways to stay impactful on, within rebounding and assists per game. If you take a look at his, and if you go back to Bennedict Mathurin, you'll see a lot of zeros in that assist column. You'll see a lot of low numbers in that rebound column. With Jaden Ivey, these things, they kind of stay consistent. And if you look at three-point shooting, he's gotten much better. Over the last 10, he's actually shooting a better three-point percentage than Bennedict Mathurin, which is at 30%. and field goal percentage just underneath him, just underneath. I Bleav that when he starts getting more foul calls, that would definitely help him. Right now, he's getting 4.1 a game. I Bleav he needs more with the way that he drives to the rim, but he needs to probably get tougher, a little bit stronger. I don't know. It is just me just kind of spitballing some stuff because I Bleav he deserves to get the calls. But you know how it goes. You're in Detroit and you're a rookie, man. So yeah, listen. Next episode, we're gonna get on here. We're gonna try and talk about some of these draft picks. We're gonna try and talk about, what shooting guards, what wings do we Bleav would fit with this squad? Because we got to make sure that they don't run into the same predicament. We're also gonna get in here and talk about the trade proposals. We got Nerlens Noel, we have Bojan Bogdanovic, we got Saddiq Bey coming up in all types of rumors, and we're gonna get right into it. Also, I will be introducing my very special crew, the Table Talk crew. All right. They're going to come down. They're going to break down. They help me cover this game from multiple different angles. Steve is the draft guru, whereas Sean Murphy from Half Court, he does all things NBA. So he gives us a little bit broader perspective. He's going to have his a touch on, what some of these other teams might be willing to offer in return for Saddiq Bey, a Bojan Bogdanovic, or a Nerlens Noel. Listen, but thanks for rocking out. All right. If there's anything I said that was crazy, just let me know in the comments, bro. We can always rap. We can always talk about it. All right. But for the Bleav Network, this is Bleav in Pistons, a Detroit Pistons podcast, and I am your host, Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, credentialed NBA media. Till next time, y'all.